Welcome back to the CryptoWorld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin has just broken below short-term support as the US government just announced a major international crypto enforcement action, which I'll be talking more about in just a moment, so definitely stick around. First of all, we need to talk about the massive crypto news today, which started out as potentially massive news, but quickly fizzled out because, first of all, the US Department of Justice said that they're about to announce a major international cryptocurrency enforcement action. And when this initial article came out, everyone was panicking. Everyone was thinking that they might try to ban crypto or take down some massive exchange like Binance, for example. And basically, as soon as this news got released, pretty much the entire crypto market started to drop. But then when the US Department of Justice actually made their statement, here it was. Basically, they took down a small Russian exchange that had ties to Russia and China. And the name of this exchange was called Bitslato, which almost no one had heard of before. I've never heard of this exchange ever. And basically, they arrested the founder and majority owner of this exchange, who was a 40-year-old Russian apparently living in China. And that was basically it. They just took down this small exchange that no one had ever heard of before, arrested the founder and majority owner of the exchange, and that's really it. So essentially, the initial article caused quite the panic and caused prices to begin to dump and actually break below some short-term support levels. And as soon as that happened, then that continued a bit more of a short-term correction, which I'll talk more about in just a moment. But essentially, this entire news story turned out to be a bit of a nothing burger, because all that really happened was a very small exchange that no one had ever heard of before basically got taken down. But anyway, now getting into the Bitcoin part of this video, looking at the weekly Bitcoin chart. And right now, technically speaking, nothing has changed here on the weekly Bitcoin chart over the last few months, because we still have this massive bullish divergence playing out on this chart right now. But if you zoom into the daily Bitcoin chart, obviously just recently we've seen a bit of a rejection from the golden pocket range of resistance, which is resistance coming into play in between around 20.9k going up towards around 21.2k. And obviously we're still yet to actually see a daily candle close above 21.2k, which means we have not actually confirmed a break above this golden pocket. So at least for now, that is still the important resistance area that I'm currently paying attention to here on the daily Bitcoin chart. And of course, while the price of Bitcoin has been running into resistance just here, the daily Bitcoin RSI has obviously been well into overbought territories over the last few days, as I have mentioned over the last few days. And typically when the RSI is extremely overbought, that basically means we're too overheated. So we've gone too far to the upside too quickly, and we need some time to cool off, whether that means some sideways price action or a slight pullback in the price of Bitcoin to help reset this RSI, which is exactly what we've started to see over the last one day. Now, technically speaking, we still need to see a further cool off in this RSI before it starts to get down towards neutral levels. But at least this short-term correction so far is a step in the right direction for this daily RSI, because believe it or not, even during a bullish trend, we need to actually see corrections and pullbacks along the way in order to reset the RSI to create a more sustainable bullish trend. Otherwise, if the price action just goes straight to the upside like this without any cool-offs, then generally speaking, a trend like that does not last very long. It is not a sustainable uptrend, and basically we turn around a lot quicker than if we just have some cool-offs and corrections along the way. And in terms of the trend right now on the daily time frame, technically speaking, we are still forming higher highs and higher lows. So technically, this is still a bullish trend on the daily Bitcoin charts. And even if the price of Bitcoin pulls back down towards this area of support at around 19.7k, or even lower down to this more significant level of support at around 18.6 to 18.7k, even in that case, we could still technically remain in a bullish trend, because, for example, let's just say if the price pulled all the way back down towards around 18.6k and saw a bounce there, that actually opens up the possibility for a much larger inverse head and shoulders pattern to potentially be forming right now, but it is important to mention that that potential inverse head and shoulders pattern is not yet confirmed. It hasn't even completed forming, but it's a potential pattern that could be forming to at least keep an eye out for if we do see a further pullback. And so overall here on the daily time frame, once again, in terms of the trend, I am still remaining bullish as of right now. It's just in the more imminent short term, we are still due to see a bit of a short-term cool-off to help reset this RSI to potentially give us some more room to the upside later on. But as I also mentioned over the last few days, considering how high up this RSI has gotten on the daily time frame, even if we do see a reset in this RSI and perhaps continue the bullish trend later on, there's now the risk of potentially forming a bearish divergence here on the daily time frame, because with the RSI reaching extremely overbought levels recently, it would be quite easy to form lower highs in the RSI while forming higher highs in the price action, obviously forming a bearish divergence. But that hasn't happened as of right now. It's just a potential risk if we do continue on this bullish trend over the next few weeks. And speaking of bearish divergences, here on the 4-hour time frame, we obviously have an active bearish divergence, as I talked about in my last video. And once again, what a bearish divergence means for the price of Bitcoin is that we're due to see reduced bullish momentum, which usually plays out in the form of either choppy sideways price action or a slight pullback in the price of Bitcoin. So basically just a pause from the bullish trend, which is exactly what we're seeing right now. And generally speaking, divergences on the 4-hour time frame play out over around 1 to 2 days or so, and so far it's been roughly around 1 day for this bearish divergence playing out. So this could potentially continue to play out over the next 1 day. And so once again, in terms of the trend, this is still technically bullish as of right now, because we haven't actually confirmed lower lows or lower highs or any significant bearish confirmation signals. But what we do have is obviously a short-term cool-off with reduced bullish momentum here in the imminent short term, as in over 1 to 2 days or so. And now if you're taking a look at the 2-hour Bitcoin chart, obviously the price of Bitcoin has just broken below this ascending line of support, which right here was sitting at around 21.1k. And once again, this break to the downside happened just as that news came out, which I talked about earlier in this video. But even though that big news story turned out to really not be all that much, we still ended up seeing a confirmed break below this ascending line of support once again, which technically signaled a bearish move in the price of Bitcoin down to this level of support at around 20.5 to 20.6k approximately, which is obviously what I spoke about in my last video, because what I actually said in my last video is ultimately the next short-term direction in the price of Bitcoin depends on whether we break this level just here or this level just here. I said if we break 21.5k approximately, which right here was sitting closer towards 21.6k, considering these are ascending lines, I said if we break that level, then that could potentially trigger another short squeeze. But on the flip side, if we break below around 21k to 21.1k, which is where that level was sitting at right there, then that would essentially signal a move down towards this level, which has obviously happened just recently. But if the price of Bitcoin confirms a break below 20.5k, then that is when I would expect a move down towards around 19.7 to 19.8k approximately. And anything below 19.7k, then I would expect a move further down towards around 18.6 to 18.7k, acting as strong support. And so overall here in the imminent short term, talking about the next 1 day or so, we're looking slightly bearish while we're in a short-term cool-off. But currently at the time of recording this video, we are running into a bit of short-term support just here. And technically speaking, all of this is still occurring within a bullish trend here on the daily time frame. And now just taking a quick look at the Bitcoin funding rate and also the funding rates for most of these other coins, right now they are looking very neutral, because obviously, as you can see, most of these funding rates are sitting at 0.01%, which is where they usually sit at most of the time. But then for some of these coins on some of these exchanges, they're sitting a little higher than normal. But for other coins on other exchanges, they're actually sitting in the negative territory. And so overall, at the time of recording this video, the funding rates are relatively neutral. They're not overly bullish or overly bearish. But anyway, now getting into the Ethereum part of this this video. This right here is the daily ETH to US dollar chart, and right now, technically speaking, the price of ETH on the daily time frame is still in a bullish trend because we're still seeing higher lows and higher highs as of right now. But obviously, like Bitcoin on the daily time frame, over the last few days, the daily Ethereum RSI has been well into overbought territories, which once again means that we're too overheated, so we've gone too far to the upside too quickly, and we're due for a bit of a cool off, either in the form of sideways price action or a slight pullback in the price, because both sideways price action and bearish price action can help reset the RSI from overbought territories back down towards more neutral levels. And so technically speaking, this pullback just recently in the price of ETH is exactly what we needed to see for the daily Ethereum RSI, which technically still has some more room to the downside to go before we enter back into more neutral levels. And now, like I also said for Bitcoin earlier in this video, and like I've said over the last few days, considering how high up the daily RSI has reached over the last few days, this does create the risk of potentially forming a bearish divergence in the future here on the daily time frame, because considering how high up the daily RSI has reached recently, it would be quite easy to form a lower high in the daily RSI while also forming a higher high in the price action on the daily time frame. And so once again, that's just a potential risk to pay attention to over the coming 1 to 2 weeks if this bullish trend continues. And in terms of resistance, technically speaking, we still have this range of resistance at around 1650 to 1.7k, and so far the price of ETH has fallen slightly short of that price target range right there. In fact, we've gotten within around $40 of this technical price target range. And so at least as of right now, the price of ETH has actually been finding resistance closer towards around 1610 to 1.6k, which is now another level that I'll be paying attention to, at least in the short term, acting as resistance. And now if you take a look at the shorter term, this right here is the 4-hour ETH to US dollar chart. And obviously, as I also mentioned in my last video, we have an active bearish divergence here on the 4-hour ETH chart, because obviously we have confirmed higher highs in the 4-hour candle closes in the price action and lower highs in this RSI. And technically speaking, this simply means that we're due to see reduced bullish momentum in the shorter term, which usually plays out in the form of either choppy sideways price action or sometimes a slight pullback in the price of ETH. And obviously what we have seen since this bearish divergence confirmed is, of course, a slight pullback in the price of ETH. So at least as of right now, even though the bullish trend is technically still intact because we still have higher lows and higher highs as of right now, we are obviously currently playing out a bearish divergence on the 4-hour time frame in the short term, resulting in a cool off in the price of ETH and also in this RSI on both the 4-hour chart and also the daily time frame cooling off. But anyway, like I said earlier in the video, divergences here on the 4-hour time frame typically play out over around 1 to 2 days, and so far it's been around 1 day with this bearish divergence playing out, which means potentially over the next 1 day this bearish divergence could continue to play out before potentially resuming the bullish trend, as long as we don't break below some of these other lows just here. And now when talking about short-term support levels, bringing out the volume profile indicator, right now once again we have resistance just here in the volume profile going up towards around 1.6k. But as for support levels based on this indicator, we have support at around 1.4k to 1410 approximately. But if we see a confirmed break below 1.4k, first of all, that would be a bearish confirmation signal for the trend. And if that happens, then I would expect a drop down towards this next area of support at around 1320 to 1340 approximately. And below that, then I would expect support at around 1250 to 1260. But once again, if the price actually makes it down towards 1.4k and starts breaking back below 1.4k, then of course that would be a confirmation signal towards a bearish trend beginning to form and of course reversing out of this bullish trend. But believe it or not, there are ways to make money in crypto even if the price is dumping. And if you want to know how to keep making money in crypto, whether the price is going up, down, or simply chopping around sideways, then make sure to check out these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how to make money in crypto if the price is trending either up or going down, and the video in the bottom left shows you how to make money in crypto if the price is chopping around sideways. But anyway, that's all that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.